Hey sports fans, welcome to the Command Center for another episode of Coach's CorOner with your host, Jeff, the Sandman Sook. Welcome. Thanks for watching. So we're 10 weeks through the regular season of the NFL, and of course, as always, we're not short on storylines. Very much has happened. But there's one storyline especially that CorOner has really kept his eye on, and that is that teams are more and more going for it on fourth down. Now this is true. Teams more than ever are going for it on fourth down. However, I'm here to tell you that they're still not going for it anywhere near enough. There are so many situations this season that have happened where teams elect to punt or kick a field goal or kneel down in spots where they should have just gone for it. And we had to look no further than the first game of the year, an instant classic between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, to find two perfect examples of what I'm talking about. So let's head down here and take a look. Example number one. Here we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing a 4th and 5 from the 40.5-yard line of Dallas. They're one first down away from being in field goal range at least, but instead they just give the ball back to Dallas for free. How many times do we see it too? Now on this spot, Tampa downs it at the 2, but there's a flag and they're going to have to repunt. But how many times do we see it where a team will punt that ball into the end zone, give the opposing team the ball at the 20, and 3 plays later, they're at the 40-yard line anyways? Always a bad idea to punt in that spot. Okay, example number 2. Here we see Ezekiel Elliott going down at the 2.5-yard line. And the Cowboys are going to trot out Greg the Leg Zuerlein. Now, he's 1 for 3 on the night. He's already missed from 31 yards. But he is going to go ahead and sneak this one in there. But that doesn't matter because this is a terrible decision. You're giving up the opportunity to score 6, 7, or 8 points and just taking 3. And remember, if you don't get it in that spot, you're pinning Tampa deep. So you're really minimizing your output from having the ball at the 2.5-yard line. And there's Mike McCarthy frozen on him. He's infamous for making bad calls in these spots. It really feels like Mike McCarthy is just guessing. And to be honest, he has gotten it right a few times this year. So we're not going to see as much of him as I would have thought going into this, but we are still going to see him. And where we're going to see him is in a montage that the production team has come up with. And this is a montage of plays that are very similar to the two that I showed you, just to show you how often these types of plays are happening. And while the narrative still exists, teams are going for it more and more on fourth down. We're here to show you the evidence that they're not. So these are the plays that coaches make that break my heart. Let's take a look up here. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other plays that we could have put in the montage, but hey, it's time to get on with the show. Now, we're going to get to a countdown, but before we get there, I want to give 2 honorable mentions. And the reason that they're honorable mentions and not in the countdown is because the teams went on to win. And so it can't be a deadly decision if your team wins, but you still get featured in the honorable mentions. So let's take a look up here and see what we got. Honorable mention number 1 goes to Andy Reid, and this goes for his decision not to take a timeout after the end of this 3rd and 20 play. So notice the time. Kansas City sitting on that timeout. Baker Mayfield's going to get sacked with about 25 seconds left in the half at the 42-yard line of Cleveland. And if Andy Reid takes the timeout right away, that would force Cleveland into a spot where they'd have to punt. It's 4th and a mile. They can't risk giving the ball back to Mahomes and company in that field position. But instead, he doesn't take the timeout. So instead, the Browns wisely take a timeout with 3 seconds left. They free roll the last play of the half. And this is what happens. Jarvis Landry's going to take it all the way down. He's going to flip to Baker Mayfield. And can you imagine right here? He's going to flip it to Kareem Hunt. And unfortunately, they're going to fall 11 yards short of what could have been a disastrous decision, but all of that could have been avoided if Andy Reid just takes a timeout right away as soon as the play ended on 3rd and 20. Honorable mention number 2 goes to this decision by Mike Zimmer to go for a field goal down at the 2-yard line on 4th and goal. Now, you know I'm not a fan of this in general, but especially when you're up 10 points and a touchdown would make it a 3-score game. Instead, you hand Seattle a lifeline by kicking this field goal because they're still 2 touchdowns away from winning the game. Pete Carroll can't believe his luck. He's looking up, and we have the numbers for this, so let's look at the win probability of this, and this is actually quite humorous. So to go for it in that spot, you're having a win probability of 97%. The field goal there is 92.5%, but this is the humorous part. If you kneel the football there instead of kicking the field goal, you actually have a better chance by 2% of winning the football game. So what that's saying is you're better off being up 10 and having the Seattle Seahawks have the ball at the 2-yard line than you are being up 13 and kicking off to the Seattle Seahawks. So that just goes to show how little the difference is between 10 and 13 points. And to kick a field goal there is just comically bad. And of course, would have made the countdown had it not been for the fact that the Vikings did hang on to that 92.5%er and win the game. Imagine telling Mike Zimmer in that moment that, coach, actually, we're better off kneeling than kicking a field goal here. It's pretty ridiculous. Now let's get to the countdown. And this is going to be the top 5 deadliest decisions of the first 10 weeks of the season. And since there's been 10 weeks of the season, it just made sense that we should cover 10 games. So each coach, we're going to go through 2 games that they coached and look over their deadly decisions. So let's get to it. Number 5, Ron Rivera. All right, so it's 3rd and 16 here, and Taylor Heinicke is going to go for a pretty nice run there, get down to the 40-yard line, and that's going to set up a 4th and 7 at the Chargers' 40-yard line. So surely not much of a decision here for Riverboat Ron. The special team coach awaits the announcement. Wait a minute, punt? Say it ain't so, Riverboat Ron. You're punting the football. You might not even get the football back at this point. Are you kidding me? You're going to punt the football here? And on top of that, you've had a lot of trouble stopping the Chargers in this whole second half. There you see Justin Herbert was licking his chops. And yeah, Washington does go ahead and punt the football here. They actually take a game penalty first. But you know what happens is the Chargers get the football for free, and they drive the field, and they kill the entire 4th quarter. And this is 3rd and ball game, and Keenan Allen's going to catch it, and that's it. The Chargers can kneel out from there. Game over. So the last time the Washington football team had the football in this game, they punted from their opponent's 40-yard line. So surely they've learned their lesson, I should say, is Heinicke, once again, this is just an amazing play by him to get out of not 1, not 2, but 3 sack opportunities by the Chiefs. They do throw the flag there for intentional grounding, but the side judge comes in and says, no, there's a running back in the area. So surely after all that, 4th and 8, you're down 11, you're in dire situation here. Surely you're going to go for it, but no, once again, Riverboat Ron, are you even deserving of that name anymore? That is yet another bad punt, and guess what? The next time you got the football in this game, it was 31-13 Chiefs, and the game was long over. Number 4, Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy's highlight pack's actually going to start with 2 decisions I'm in favor of. First of all, it's this 4th and 4 from the 41-yard line against the Rams. And Andy Dalton, yes, Andy Dalton. Remember when he was playing? Those were the days. He's going to throw an incomplete pass. Well, that's all right. It's still the right decision. Now, here you're at the 37, 38-yard line, so you could try a long field goal. Santos doesn't have the biggest legs, so you go for it again. Again, I agree with the decision. Andy Dalton does Andy Dalton things and fumbles the football, so it doesn't work. So now the 3rd opportunity comes, and now you have the most makeable of all, and it's 4th and 2. And you are a few yards back, but it's 4th and 2, and now you're going to pop the punter out. And I just hate the inconsistency there. I mean, I guess it's twice bitten, 3rd time shy for Matt Nagy here, but that shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be that results-oriented. That 100% should have been a go for it, and that should have been established already. So now you have those. I hated the inconsistency here, but here we're going to stop it here because this one is completely ludicrous. This is Santos. Now I mentioned that he doesn't have the strongest legs, so you could try a field goal in that last spot from 55 yards, but in reality, the probability of him making a 55-yard field goal isn't that great. But here we are, the game's on the line, there's 2 seconds left, and they're setting up for a 65-yard field goal. Yes, 65-yard field goal in Heinz Field, which, by the way, is the hardest place to kick field goals in the entire league. So let's see what happens. And the kick, and this one's on target. Hey, right down the middle, except for it's a mile short, obviously, because there was a 0% chance that Santos was ever going to make that field goal. He cannot make a 65-yard field goal. So you have 2 seconds left from the 48-yard line. You got to try a Hail Mary there. 8.2% of Hail Marys get completed for touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot greater odds than 0%. And maybe I shouldn't say 0%. I guess maybe it's possible that a bird comes and a just giant bird swallows the football and flies through the uprights. But really, how else was Santos ever going to make that field goal? The answer is he wasn't. It's just a ludicrous decision. On top of that, he had made 40 field goals in a row. Now, I know that's not a big deal but to the team, but I mean, it probably means something to him. He never had a chance on his 41st. Number 3, Joe Judge. All right, so his highlight pack's going to start with a terrible field goal, and they're going to make it. But here's the field goal I really want to go over. So let's pause it right here. Mid-kick, why not? Okay, so look at the score here. It's 23-20 for the Giants. There's 4 minutes and 54 seconds left, and it's 4th and 4 from about the 37-yard line, and you're attempting a 55-yard field goal. So let's go through this a little bit. What is the difference between 3 and 6 points as far as a lead is concerned? Well, the only difference is that it takes a field goal out of consideration for Washington. But really, what is the Giants' best route to victory at this point? Well, that is going for it, getting a first down, scoring a touchdown, and killing as much clock as you can along the way. By kicking a field goal here, you're giving the Washington football back regardless of whether you make it or not. You're ensuring that they're going to get the football back with a chance to take the lead with a touchdown. So let's see what happens. Now, it's also a risky field goal. If you miss, you're giving Washington the ball at the 45. But he is going to make it. I mean, Graham Gano, he's a really good kicker. So they make the field goal fine, but guess what? They're only up 6. They end up losing the game by 1. So let's go to Monday night. And, it's not like all these plays are really that terrible. You got the field goal there. Here you got the end of the half. You're 61 yards away, and you just kneel down. And, if Danny Dimes can't throw 61 yards, Kadarius Toney can. So you might as well give it a shot. Here we go. It's a 4th and 1 at the 35. A lot of you are probably thinking, no, that's a punt. But no, in reality, it isn't, and it shouldn't be. And then here's another 4th and 3 at around midfield. And it's just at certain point, you're in Arrowhead. You're playing the defending AFC champions. You're in their building. It's Monday Night Football. You got to take a chance at some point. You can't play this conservative style and expect to win. And, of course, what happens? The Giants end up losing the game by 3 points. Number 2, Bill Belichick. That's not Bill Belichick. Okay, here we are. So I like that they show the numbers here: 64% run, 58% pass. That's you can see you have a good chance of converting on 4th and 2. You're over midfield. There's 2 minutes left in the half. This is a good opportunity to extend your lead, and you're just not going to take it. You're going to run the clock down, get a delayed game penalty, and punt the football after the 2-minute warning. I know I've been through this a million times now. It's just a bad punt. But it's the next play that we're really going to look at and focus on. And this is if you look, it's 4th and 3. There's 59 seconds left, and you're attempting a 56-yard field goal. You can see the rain's hammering down. It's windy. This is a low percentage field goal opportunity. And even if you make it, Tampa Bay's got 2 timeouts and a minute left, and this one's going to just miss. I mean, it was right at the edge of Nick Folk's range as is, and he just misses it. But again, that's a really bad decision. The play there is to get some more yards, get a first down, get some more yards, kill the remainder of the clock, and then kick the field goal. And here we look at the win probabilities of both those decisions. We have the numbers for both of them, and they're exactly the same. In both instances, you go for it there, you're 43%, and if you punt, first one punt 38%, and then the second one field goal 38%. So both really lessened their chances of winning that game. Maybe they could have won it if they made the right decision on either of those. Then we go to overtime, and this is you get lucky. You win the coin toss. Great fortune. Your best route to victory, of course, is scoring a touchdown on your opening drive, and it's 4th and 3, and you just punt the football around. You're close to midfield. And once again, this is just a huge mistake. As you can see, the win probability, if they go for it, 44%, punt, 38%. So very similar to the numbers we just saw. You're limiting your chances of winning the game. And let's dissect it further. Why? Well, think, now that you punt the football and give the football away for free, as I like to say, now all they need is a field goal to win the game. On top of that, they've been moving the ball up and down the field all second half. Your chance, even though you know if you don't get the first down on that fourth down, you're probably not going to win the game. Guess what? You punt the football, you're not winning the game anyways. We all know what happened. Dallas wins it with a walk-off touchdown. Number 1, David Culley. All right, we're going to start here in week 3 against Carolina. This is 4th and 4 from the Panther 39-yard line. This is a pretty standard scenario that we've been through a lot tonight. But there is a little wrinkle to this because we are inside. It's favorable kicking conditions. The field goal is in play here, so they take the delay of game, meaning they are punting. There he is. There's David Culley right there. So let's take a look at the numbers on this one that we do have available to us. Go for it 30%, field goal 30%, punt 27%. So what does that mean? He had 3 choices, 2 of them correct, and he picked the one that wasn't. So that wasn't very good. Let's see what we have. Week 2, 3rd and 15. So this is where the madness begins. As you can see, there's a flag, defensive offside against Cleveland, spoiler alert. The 3rd and 15 results in a 14-yard gain to Cleveland's 48-yard line, which would set up 4th and 1. Of course, there is the penalty, so they could also accept the penalty and take 3rd and 10 from their own 43-yard line. Now, personally, I'm taking the 4th and 1, going for it, of course. But Culley, he also is going to decline the penalty, but that's him. He's ushering his punt unit onto the field. Yes, this is really happening. He's going to decline this penalty just to punt on 4th and 1. Stefanski can't believe his eyes. He's like, what's going on here? Culley, no, he's fine with it. This is the way he wants to play it. This is essentially like punting on 3rd down. Essentially, they're playing in the CFL right now. I mean, I'm at a loss for words really describing this. This can't happen. This is just insane. They could have 3rd and 10. I mean, okay, if you don't feel comfortable going for it on 4th and 1, fine. Take the 3rd and 10. What are you doing? David, you still have time to call a timeout. I mean, this is ludicrous. You cannot go through with this. What is going on here? But yes, they go through with it. They punt. There it is. There's the punt. And of course, what happens? Yeah, it goes in the end zone, touchback, 28-yard net. Could have had 3rd and 10, ended up with a net 28-yard punt. That is number 1. Watching that countdown again, I wish I had Matt Nagy higher. It's too late now. He sticks at number 4. Can't unring a bell, but I wish I had him higher. So before I conclude the episode, I do want to say that just because a coach was featured on this episode doesn't mean I think they're a bad coach, okay? I just question some of the decisions that they've made in key situations. For instance, Bill Belichick. Those were 2 very costly decisions. Do I think he's a bad coach? No, he's an amazing coach. He's probably the best coach of all time. But those were very costly decisions. And it makes me wonder, why don't teams just have a numbers guy on the sideline? You know, with the complexity and everything that goes into coaching, it's no wonder that these guys make mistake after mistake because there's just so much going on. There's so much to think about. Have a numbers guy because at the end of the day, these decisions come down to numbers. And it's like the NFL has been in a numbers vacuum for years. I mean, in the 90s, think of how often teams were kicking it 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. I mean, it took us till 2020 before teams finally realized, oh, wait, that's not a good idea. Makes no sense. On top of that, I should say that there are spots where teams go for it where they should punt or kick a field goal and etc. The opposite does come and happen from time to time, but way less often than teams punting or kicking field goals where they should be going for it. So if by some miracle you made it this far and you made it to the end of the episode, thank you so much for watching and join me next week. Next week, we are going to talk about 2-point conversions on episode 2 of the Coach's Corner. Thank you.